Thank you, Tatiana. Another astonishing GB News exclusive for you now. A Yemeni asylum seeker being housed at the former RAF airbase in Essex is under investigation for alleged links to the Houthi rebel group. Now, sources uncovered multiple videos and pictures allegedly showing the migrant posing with various weapons, including an AK-47 assault rifle, back in his native Yemen. It's an incredibly concerning story. Here's the man who brought us that scoop. It's GB News' home and security editor, Mark White. Mark, we've been saying for years on this channel, and a conversation led by yourself, we have no idea who is amongst us when they throw documents in the water on the way over. They say whatever they want to game the system oftentimes. The evidence you have today is deeply, deeply concerning. Tell us more.
Yes, one of the biggest concerns that law enforcement and the security services have is just who is coming across the English Channel. If identifying documents are thrown away, then how on earth can you actually get a proper handle on who these people are, unless, of course, they're already on criminal databases known to the security services overseas, which some are, but multiple others are not. Now, this individual, and we can show you some images that we've obtained, show this young man is from Yemen, and he's posed with an AK-47 assault rifle and ammunition. There you can see him. He's in traditional Yemeni garb. There he's got that sort of traditional dagger that many men in Yemen carry about. But of course there's this, the AK-47 and associated ammunition, multiple pictures all over his social media account showing him with these weapons. I mean, I will say, of course, that Yemen is a lawless country. It is not uncommon for men in that country to go around with firearms and other lethal weapons. However, having said that, you know, the legitimate question that many people will be asking is, are these the kind of individuals that we want here in this country, being accepted into this country and considered for asylum? Well, many, I'm sure, would argue not. I've just had a statement through from the Home Office to our story. It's been confirmed to us that this man has been initially assessed by Essex police, that the person in question has now been referred to the Prevent Counter-Extremism programme. And this statement just now through from the Home Office says, "We are aware of this individual and have taken appropriate action. We collect biometric data of all small boat arrivals and at the start of their asylum claim, which is then cross-checked with immigration, security and criminal databases." I say that's all well and good, but if you have someone who has not gone onto one of these international indices that are then index linked that you can check in the UK on a sort of international terrorism database, then, you know, there are people that could slip through the net. Now, we're not saying this is someone who slipped through the net, because as I say, we only have the information that we have, which are social media posts that show him posing with multiple lethal weapons, also with posts that show him apparently showing support for the Houthi rebel group in Yemen. Now, the Houthis are a group that are designated as a terrorist organisation by the United States and multiple other countries. However, here in the UK, the Houthis are not prescribed as a terrorist group, despite the fact that they have attacked international shipping, including British-flagged vessels in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden over the last year and a half or so. And they are clearly a threat. They're clearly a violent terrorist group, according to many countries around the world. So any association with them is of obvious concern. And that's what the authorities are digging deep into now, trying to assess just what his links were to them, whether, yes, he came from the same country as the group, did he actually profess support for them, and if he did, then surely you would imagine that granting this individual asylum is not something we should be doing. That's obviously further down the road in terms of the process here, but deeply alarming information coming through, Martin.
Well, White, we've been speaking with the locals at RF Wethersfield and RF Scampton, Linton on News, asylum hotels all around the country. The first thing they always say, in Wethersfield, these individuals are allowed to wander around the village. Nobody knows who they are. They were their concerns all along, and now, Mark White, this adds an extra bit of alarm to that. Mark White, a cracking exclusive. Once again, you're the best in the business. Thank you very, very much for joining us on the show today.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Chris, does this come as a surprise to you, or is it simply part and parcel of the risk we're taking by allowing anybody to wander in willy-nilly?
It's not unexpected, is it? And if you were a group such as the Houthis that didn't like the West, that wanted to activate people within Europe, within the UK, then this is exactly how you would do it. You'd send them over on boats and they would integrate themselves into society until they were needed to react to Iran's or to the Houthis calling. And this is really concerning. And I don't think, as with the best will in the world, that we've got a clue how many people who are a real threat to us have come over the channel.
And with all that in mind, obviously this is an active case, and as Home Office have told us, they are aware of this individual and they're saying it's being dealt with. We have to take that at face value. But on a broader term, if we could, Chris, if that's the case, if we have no idea of people's links to terrorist organisations, why on earth are they ever put into places like RF Wethersfield to simply wander around villages aimlessly?
Yeah, and into our cities that aren't used to this kind of threat. And of course, this is an ongoing problem, and the problem's not going away. We don't know how many are here already, and we don't know how many are in Dover waiting to come across. So, sorry, in France waiting to come across. So big concerns for the security apparatus of the UK.
And Chris Phillips, are you of a mind now that this has got to a stage where we hear a lot about it's time to declare some kind of national border emergency? It's simply gone on too much. We simply don't know. The threat is at a point now where it's time to do something dramatic about it. Do you think we're at that point now?
Martin, we've been at that point for probably a year or so. The simple fact is that thousands of people, and many of them will be proper refugees, but it only needs a very small number to suddenly be activated in the UK to go and do something incredibly terrible, and we'll all pay the price for it. And I think successive governments have just failed to deal with the problem that the common man in the street can see right before their face.
And Chris Phillips, what would that look like? We've had all sorts of ideas banded about containment camps, about Nightingale prisons, about offshore containment, about Rwanda. If we're at the point where you say there could be, I don't know, some sort of message goes out, some sort of uprising, this is the worst nightmare scenario, how on earth do we deal with that?
Oh, well, it almost becomes a civil war type piece, doesn't it? Now, this can sound as though it's over the top, but in actual fact, this is exactly how you would attack a country if you wanted to destroy it from within. And we've allowed ourselves to become very vulnerable to individuals and groups that we've allowed into our country.
That is really, really sobering to hear you say that, because people say these kind of things in pubs or on social media. You think, come on, calm down a bit. But you're the former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, and you're saying that we could have people amongst us that may cause us harm, at a moment's notice. This is deeply, deeply concerning stuff.
Yeah, and if you look at major terrorist attacks that have happened, they've been very small numbers of people. Now, if you've got a guy like this that's been used to handling AK-47s overseas, and he decides, or he is activated, so to speak, then the complete carnage that could cause is quite scary. Now, how we deal with that as a country, I'm really struggling to see. But what I do know is that we need to make sure we take every precaution to make sure that we know as much about the people that are coming here as possible, and are very quick to deport those that aren't that we don't know who they are.
Yeah, let's just repeat, Chris Phillips, that the authorities have assured us today, they've assured GB News that they're aware of this individual, this one individual at least, and they're on the case with it. That's what they've told us. We have to take that as their word. But on a broader point, with your experience and looking at the types of countries with the types of conflicts we see time and again, certain nationalities, Afghanistan, for example, climbing up the league table of shame for assaults, violent assaults, for sex crimes. Do you think, with that in mind, it's time to do something more radical, to draw up maybe a list of nations where we simply say no more?
Yeah, I do, and we should have done that a year or two ago. But this problem is not just in the UK. Paris, France have exactly the same problems that we've got in the UK. They come from different areas, but it's still people with some extreme views have been brought into the West, and those extreme views do not tally with the way that the West operates. And we just don't know. And if you think there are 40,000 people at the moment that are on the terrorism watch list in one form or another, 40,000 people, that's half the size of the British Army. The sheer numbers of people that have come across and come into the country are such a concern that it takes a small number of those to go bad. And we've got big terrorism issues right across our country.
Well, I've got to say that's one of the most sobering interviews I think I've done on this channel in many, many a month. Thank you for your expertise. I think we really need to start waking up, don't we, Chris? Incredible stuff. Chris Phillips, the former head of the Counter-Terrorism Security Office, thanks you for joining us on the show. I just find that sort of really concerning that this guy's an expert. Now, he used to head up departments saying we should have done this a year ago. How are we not waking up to this? How are our politicians not just listening to experts like this and doing something about this border control situation? It's utterly astonishing.